Welcome, bienvenidos. You are so brave. That is your characteristic. So I developed this podcast for you, Coaching the Brave podcast with Giovanna Chase, where we talk about all things positive and the power of coaching in the military community. Enjoy. From January 13th to February 17th, this series will take about 6 weeks. I'll be sharing with you what coaching is and what it isn't, the core concepts of coaching, and provide some personal experiences along the way. This series is for you if you enjoy learning new things overall, if you may be interested in a coaching career in the future or currently, and if you're genuinely curious about behavior change and positive psychology in your life and how you can change some aspects. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Well, hello. I hope you had a great week last week, and we are here today in the presence of each other, and I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much for listening for another week. I hope that all has gone well for you. And if not, share with me. Find me on social media, comment, I'll send you some love. Well, to get into it, because today we have a lot to talk about. It is episode 6, 5 of 6 in our series of what coaching is and what it isn't. And I'm very excited to share with you some personal experiences today and some client experiences. So last week we talked about appreciative inquiry, clients, freedom of choice, and self-efficacy. If you haven't heard it, go back, listen to it. Before I begin today's chat, though, I want to share something with you all. Right now, the highest level of a coach certification for health coaching is the National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach certification. There are many hoops and steps you have to take in order to just sit for the exam for this one. So while there are many health and wellness and life coaching certifications out there, they are great. But if you want to be one of the top tier coaches and working at a medical facility or insurance company, go ahead and try to take this exam and get your approval course underway, because things are changing, all the rules and stuff. So figure out what it is that you'd like to do if you even want that certification. I have some experience with that. So if you need some help, I can help you with that. I'll be honest with you though. I went through my approved course back in August of 2021, and I graduated the course in November of 2021 for my approved requirements just to sit for the exam. And I took my exam in October and I did not pass, but it was only by 22 points. Yeah, I know, right? I'll get into my feelings about that a little bit later because it does tie into our discussion today. But before I do, there is another prestigious certification that we may not have thought about in the life coaching avenue. So for many years, life coaching, and I mean decades, like many decades, life coaching has not been regulated by any means. And so anybody could say that they were a life coach. Now they have, they've had for many years now, the International Coach Federation has, been able to do their due diligence and create a code of ethics and all that good stuff for life coaches. But it's still not a requirement for anywhere to have this prestigious certification. But what they're calling it now is a credential. So you can go through a life coaching certification that is ICF accredited, but unless you take the steps as an individual to go through the ICF credentialing, then you are not an ICF coach. Now, that one is news to me. I knew it was coming, but I didn't know that it was out there already. I kind of suspected, since the health coaching was getting regulated, that life coaching would be too. So go ahead and look into that as well, because that is a thing and it's fairly expensive, but it's very, if you like to get your higher education for your clients and understanding, the continuing education and the fun that could be, that could bring you, or even just the opportunities that could bring you, then do your research. Go into that. Now, when it comes to the International Coach Federation, in fact, the ICF conducted a global consumer awareness study that stated 85% of coaching clients say it's important or very important that their coach holds a certification or credential. I want to hear your opinions on this. Because since it wasn't regulated for so long, and still it's not regulated to the point where you have to have this credentialing in order to coach, I want to know what your thoughts are on that. Is it okay for you to have a, ICF accredited certified coach? Or do you even care if they're certified? Do you mind if they have a bachelor's degree or master's or any other type of licensure on top of their coaching certification? I would love to have a discussion with you all on Facebook or Instagram. Just find me on Yvonne Chase Coaches on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, that'll be fun to talk about, because I don't know if you know this, but as for myself personally, I have a bachelor's of science in behavioral science and 3 health and life coaching certifications. And in March of this year, because they've added a spring exam, I will be taking my national board certification exam again. And because I have also ADHD, it's hard for me to study in the traditional way. And so I've been able to use this podcast to help me study in a more a creative way. So if you've noticed, what I'm doing is I'm actually following the guidelines of what to study for the National Board Health and Wellness exam. So if you are also studying for it, I hope that some of this information has resonated with you and that it has helped you in a different way to study and to grasp those tiny things that we tend to just overpass, like just overlook. And to be quite honest, I personally love learning new things. I love finding out what new research is coming up in the health and life coaching realm and in the profession. I really enjoy that, not only for my knowledge, but also for the safety of my clients as well, for updating them and being on top of what is really going on in the health and life coaching profession. I will explain a little bit of what I said that I would about my feelings about not passing my NBHWC exam in October, because you don't get your results right away. You have to wait a little bit. And so in July of last year was when I was supposed to when I did get my results. And so I received them. I couldn't believe I only didn't pass by 22 points. So 4 years ago, before I ever started coaching or ever had my own beautiful experience with coaching, I was really in a negative place. I was in a overwhelming new time mom, still lower enlisted, still, scrounging for a career for myself and trying to also be a partner for my husband and all the things that young couples go through, right? So I probably, if I wasn't in this state where I am now, back then, I definitely would have given up on myself with the ingrained belief that I had that I just wasn't smart enough or that this career couldn't handle me. I was too good for this career. Or there goes my language barrier or my learning disability. It's getting in the way again. I would have let the anger and defeat get the best of me. I would have taken it personally. That's the first thing that I thought of when I didn't pass my exam was that, damn, back then, yeah, I would have been super down on myself. I definitely would have said this. But I thought to myself, I definitely help my clients overcome self deprecating negative beliefs every day. I can overcome this too. I took a bath and people when when I'm sharing this with you, I'm being super vulnerable, okay? Because at that time, some of you know that we were PCSing. So we were making a permanent change of duty station. And we were actually staying in a hotel. So we were at a hotel for 2 weeks. And when I say that I took a bath, yes, people, I took a bath in the hotel. Oh my goodness. Those were, that morning was so filled with emotion for me. And I don't think that if I was the coach that I wouldn't have been able to coach myself out of it. And of course, being a prepared military brat and a military wife, I had cleaning supplies. So, of course, I cleaned the tub before, you know, so it wasn't all that gross. But, my military peeps, you get it. So, my family and I, we were definitely in that, a lot of us would say, shithole for 2 weeks. And, 2 weeks wasn't very long. I know people who've been there for 2 to 4 or 5 months. So I'm not complaining at all, but taking a bath in like a public place, I'm judging myself now, looking back. Anyway, so I definitely had a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and a heck of a lot of stress. And the recommendation that I usually give my clients is feel your feelings in a healthy, productive way, even if you don't want to. And that's exactly what I could do in that moment. That's what I had control over. And that was all I could think about was just cleaning all of the negative feelings off of me. It was just relaxing in the heat of the water and just crying my eyes out and letting the emotion flood over me of not passing this prestigious exam that I need as well to work for an insurance company. And so I was able to clear my head. That's what we will, you know, talk about today is that behavior change. I was able to shift my focus. I was more grounded and conscious in that state of consciousness and awareness. And yes, I just said that because it's true. If you're wondering where I'm going with this, that's what we will be chatting about today. Two skills, because I don't want to tell you all the skills, right? Just two, and we only have about 45 minutes anyway. So, well, now it's like 30. But, we are only going to chat about two skills on how to change your behavior and what the mind has to do with it, what it means to honor balance in your life, spiritual alignment, what spiritual alignment means, and how we should not assume what it means, but how it is very easy to. Great, so let's get into it. Just say, most of us would say this very often, and if you haven't, it might be an opener for you. I say this to my clients when I'm meeting them for the first time because it really is an eye opener. And I know you've heard it before. So here we go. We know what to do, we just don't always do it. So we aren't talking about fixing or creating new behaviors. We are talking today about old behaviors that we want to change for better, i.e., we can think about a toddler. When they're learning to walk for the first time, they don't say, "Hey, yo, give me the manual on exactly how to take my first step." No. They, what? That's not even a thing. Their little brains are actually wired already to trigger a primal instinct to keep up with us because that's survival. Okay? And as the toddler grows older into a child, those kids, they want to run and play and be outside and just dispel all the energy. And as we know, as adults, we grow up with these external factors that get in the way. Then we start to lose that instinct. We gradually normalize binge watching on the couch and emphasizing, be careful, be safe, watch what you're doing, with fears of the world. Our brains are now fixed to believe that if we let our kids play outside, trigger alert, they will be taken or given something they don't want to, they can't handle, or God forbid, hit by a car. These are all worries that we think about as adults and as parents. I want to normalize talking about it out loud because that is part of the mental health crisis that we're in right now. Oh no, you shouldn't say that. Oh God, no, that's bad. You're going to jinx it. Come on, people. The more we talk about it, the better it's going to be. Let's talk about this, right? If you like it, cool. If not, bye. Bye, Felicia. Right? But this fear is what is the conditioned response to social news, to helicopter moms, right? And things we allow our nervous systems to react to. One way coaches help with this shift in mindset is by a skill called trial and correction. Unlike trial and error, where you might do something the wrong way and get a reprimand response for it, making you feel embarrassed, making you feel not worthy. Trial and correction is much like a toddler when they start walking, when they fall. And when they start to walk again, everybody cheers and they praise the kid. They're encouraging through their mishaps. Going from fear to worry can look like so many things: anxiety, depression, overbearing, scarcity. But there is a step by step process that can be taken with the right person. It could be therapy, it could be doctor, it could be coaching. And in the way of coaching, what is a good example is, let's say a parent is feeling these feelings, right? And they don't want their kid to go outside. They just want them to stay inside. Yeah, just play your video games. You're okay. A way this could work would be that the coach asks the specific question to then have the client response with, I mean, I know that my child has some energy that they could dispel, and I'm so scared. So I keep them inside. because of my own fear. But I know that they need to go out. So one step could be, well, the coach would ask, what is it that you would like to happen? And let's just say the coach or the client says, I actually would like them to go outside because it's a little noisy inside and I kind of need some peace, but I'm scared still. Well, that's okay, right? Let's work on options that you can take, some steps. Because I know as the coach that the client wants to work on this. Now we have built that ground baseline that this person wants to work on that. And because they want to work on that, now we can make a plan on it. Okay. The kid wants to go outside. The parent says, well, maybe I can go out with them and just watch them for a little bit. Maybe I could do that. And I said, okay, well, what is reasonable amount of time that you would like to make this into, a habit? Would you like to try this for 2 days, 3 days, right? So they do. They try that for 2 to 3 days. Okay. Obviously, right, there's some ground rules. And half an hour to begin with outside, getting in those baby steps, right? The next day could be 45 minutes, or even the next week, it could be for 45 minutes in a vicinity where the mom or the dad could see the child outside with them, making sure they're safe, right? In the meantime, the parent is being very present. We're practicing, right? Their action steps are to practice being present in the moment of their child playing outside. And they're being curious as well as to what they are feeling when their child plays outside. And then in the next check in, we'll check in. How did you feel the next day? What were you thinking? Was there anything that surprised you from yourself? And then maybe the next month, what happens? The parent sits on the porch while the child knows where to play. And then the next month, the parent is inside watching through the window, maybe with the window open, right? The next week, maybe, because time is going by and the parent is working through, and all of this is trial and correction. There's no reprimanding. There's no, you did that wrong. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. No, none of that. Gentle reinforcements. Okay. This is their journey. This isn't the coach's journey. Okay. And then by the 3 months, the 90 days, the parent is able to wash some dishes or make some dinner while the child is playing outside. And even at that point, we would check in and we'd ask for possible other options that could happen. What are the support systems in your environment? And maybe the parent says, well, you know what? I actually do have other parents that are out there and I trust them. And I think I'd be okay with them watching my child for like 30 to 45 minutes. Ding, ding, ding. We have successfully overcome the fear. And it was not hard. She did not, or he did not have to go on medication. Simple patience and trial and correction. Another behavior change skill is a two-parter. Bonus time! Accountability paired with acknowledgement of small successes at a time. Clients tend to overlook their own progress and focus on their negative behaviors. But during a session, the coach gives the client a tip. So for example, and this is a client that I had when I first became a coach. She wanted to lose 40 pounds and cut caffeine out of her diet. Looking through my notes, she started in August. And one of the first things she would say at every session after I asked her, what went well this week? She would say, I didn't go to the gym and I still drank a soda every day. For a whole month, she would say that, shedding light on small wins that really she did go up the steps, she went down the steps, she did laundry. That is considered movement. It may not have been the exercise that she wanted, but at least she moved, right? That's a small win. A lot of us don't, we just overpass that. We lose sight of that. But the coach is there to provide that accountability. Like, hey, you did that. That's motivation. And we lose sight of that. As adults, we have too much to worry about. She was almost forced in this part to see her own progress. Does that make sense to you guys? So, over 90 days, once a week, of hearing her brain, of hearing myself providing her with these successes, her brain then captured that subconsciously and she started to hear it over and over in her head. And that was just once a week for about an hour a week, because back then I started an hour sessions. She started then to be more aware of what she was doing, those small successes. She was able then to not overpass them and to be more aware by practicing that. And throughout the day, she was able then to process why she was missing going to the gym. Something started to change within her and within her behavior. By week 5, she was going to the gym, drinking more water, and started each session on a high note. And she lost 12 pounds. By the end of our program, one of the behaviors she was really happy she achieved was getting over being in her head for too long. Her thoughts, thinking too much in the beginning of our program. And she was able then, by the end of her program, to get out of her head and be more conscious about what she was doing, be more intentional. So by October, she had lost 20 pounds and continued to establish healthy eating habits and physical activity all on her own. This was a new mom. She established her routine. It was wonderful. God, I love being a coach. Witnessing the behavior changes in action, it's like the best high for me ever. But how, if you are not aware of your surroundings and who you are, how can you know if old behaviors are some you may need to change in order to get out of your own way and into the lifestyle of your dreams? So here's a more lesser obvious exercise. The more obvious one would be the pros and cons list, but that's for behaviors that you would like to change. Like these are now being aware. So let's say, for example, you want to figure out if you should stay home with the kids or start working, or if you should go to one college versus another. But this exercise that I want to share with you, this is the lesser exercise that a lot of us maybe don't really know of, or a lot of us want to ignore. And this is where maladapted habits, not behaviors, habits, come into play when we start to ignore this exercise. So listen closely. I like to call this exercise the wheel of balance. Picture a pizza pie. Yeah, I'm a Jersey girl, so picture a pizza pie. Okay? Cut it into 12 slices, and each slice has a basic human need on it. So imagine the word to which they are on each slice, this different word. Okay? One slice is for relationships, the other one, creation, the other one, money, going on, education, clean eating, health, joy, social life, movement, environment, and spirituality. The exercise that follows this imagery is the wider end of the slice means you are abundant in that field. The point end of the slice is you feel you need more of. It's unbalanced, in other words. Within your life, put a dot for each slice. If you'd like a copy of this exercise, there is a free copy in the show notes. Feel free to download it and fill it out. Then connect the dots, find the shortest points, and self-reflect on these. Remember, everyone is different. The point of this exercise is to find where you may need to focus more of your energy. Finding support and doing it with a friend, just making sure that you're honest with yourself and doing that for yourself. Not because it might benefit your friend or your spouse or your kids. No, you. Okay? I'll leave you with this question for after you fill out your wheel of balance. What do you now have to put into action to honor this disbalance? If you look at one of the slices, the last one I mentioned was spirituality. What comes to mind when you hear that word, spirituality? Is it religion? Because for many, spirituality means religion, and they jump at it. Every time they hear that word, they're like, "Oh, no, that's not for me." Or, "Yes, praise Jesus," right? Nobody's wrong. But the Oxford Dictionary defines spirituality as the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. Ways to practice spirituality: deep self-reflection, just like the one question I asked you at the end of the exercise. Grounding, deep breathing, surrounding yourself around a group of like-minded people practicing self-development, exercises, moving with self-awareness and love, the belief or feeling of a higher power, a connection and understanding with nature. Many will tell you when faced with crisis or trauma, they turn to or then find a deeper sense of spirituality. This practice is healing within the health and life coach practice. However, we don't want to disregard it. It's not oftentimes that it comes up, but when it does, it's deep. Now, according to the NBHWC, Part 2, Standards of Ethics Conduct, number 4 states, refrain from unlawful discrimination in occupational activities, including age, race, gender orientation, ethnicity, sexual orientation, religion, national origin, or disability, and consistently demonstrate dignity and respect in all professional relationships. I want to explain that because there might be confusion there. For a clinical health coach, it is not a priority to ask about spirituality. There isn't much time for it within a medical appointment, which usually lasts 15-30 minutes every 3 months or once a month, So you may find that it doesn't come up, but within the private sector of one-on-one coaching, especially with the life coaching community, because they touch on the whole life aspect, you may even go as far as to say, if you track down an actual specific spirituality coach, of course, you'll journey down that path. I just want to help you clarify that meaning within the coaching world as we explore the world with an open, compassionate mind. So we don't want to assume, right? Just because it says spirituality doesn't mean that we're talking about taking you to church or whipping out those tarot cards. It could be just as simple as lowering your blood pressure by deep breathing. I truly hope that you have enjoyed this podcast. We are nearing the end. Next week will be our last and final episode of this series, and I couldn't be more excited because the following weeks will be all about interviewing our military community and just professionals who have become veterans and all that fun stuff. So I wanted to give you that baseline of what coaching is and what it isn't so you understand what it is that I do on a daily basis and how fun it is. And if you decide as a military spouse or even a veteran to become a health and life coach or just one or the other, and have that experience of being the highest tier gold standard of the health and life coach industry, then this is a good, resource for you. So I'm really excited. Let me know what you thought about in the comments. I know I stuttered a lot. I'm still getting used to this whole like microphone talking and then wearing cancel noise canceling headphones, so I can't really hear myself too well. But I'm very much here for you and whatever I can do to help you get from where you are to where you want to be in the most compassionate, way that we can together. Have a wonderful week. Yo, you did it. You put yourself first and you let healthy happen. Congratulations on choosing that for yourself. Take this energy now that you're feeling onto the entire week. And put down in the comments how you feel after the week is done. I do have 2 invitations for you. The first one is to share this podcast with someone that you feel might need it. And second, head over to my website, YovannaChase.com, and sign up for a free one-on-one virtual experience where you and I navigate together where you are and where you would like to be within the next 3 to 6 months. Let's build a plan and let's get this happening. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be well-rounded, a whole life experience. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.